High-profile presenters should be allowed to express views on issues and policies but stop short of political campaigning, a new BBC report says. New rules have been published for BBC flagship presenters following a row over Gary Lineker's social media posts. It comes after a review into BBC social media guidelines was published by former ITN boss John Hardy. Lineker responded on X, formerly Twitter, by saying the new rules were all very sensible. Those who work in BBC News and Current Affairs, such as news presenters, are already subject to stricter rules around impartiality when using social media. The flagship programs include Match of the Day, which Lineker presents, plus The Apprentice with Alan Sugar. There will be a particular responsibility to respect the BBC's impartiality. Because of their profile on the BBC, the new guidance recognizes the importance of freedom of expression, but says that while a program is on air, and for a 2-week window before and after the series, presenters on flagship shows must not endorse or attack a political party. They must also not criticize the character of individual politicians in the UK, or comment on any issue of political debate during an election period, or take up an official role for a campaigning group. The other flagship TV shows are Antiques Roadshow, Dragon's Den, The One Show, major sporting events, Masterchef, Top Gear, Strictly Come Dancing. While for radio, the programs are Radio 1's Breakfast Show with Greg James, plus Radio 2's Breakfast with Zoe Ball, Mid-Morning with Vernon Kay and Afternoon with Scott Mills. The review of BBC social media guidelines was announced in the wake of a furore over Gary Lineker's posts earlier this year. The row erupted in March after the Match of the Day host wrote that the government's language about a new asylum policy was not dissimilar to that used by Germany in the 30s. His comments were criticized by ministers and Downing Street, but also attracted widespread support on social media. The BBC said Lineker had broken its guidelines on impartiality, and took him off air. But he returned a week later, with the corporation announcing the review to address grey areas in its rules. The new guidelines also stress the importance of high standards of civility in public discourse. This includes treating others with respect, even in the face of abuse, and not using offensive or aggressive language. Setting out his recommendations, Hardy said, high-profile presenters outside of journalism should be able to express views on issues and policies, including matters of political contention, but stop well short of campaigning in party politics or for activist organizations. The BBC said the new guidance balances freedom of expression, the responsibilities of freelancers to the BBC and the expectations of audiences, while also ensuring our rules are clear, simple, transparent and enforceable. The report also states BBC staff and freelancers outside the flagship shows are not required to uphold the BBC's impartiality on social media, but they are required to respect civility in public discourse and to not bring the BBC into disrepute. It adds that actors, dramatists, comedians, musicians and pundits who work for the BBC are not subject to the requirements of impartiality on social media.